Hmm.
Now, another system we've had for a very long time are incremental level cap increases, especially as expansions came out. But in this particular case, this is from Blat on the forums. This is talking about phases, like phased incremental level cap increases. Kind of like, as you mentioned, I believe in chat, time gated level increases. So, it's to help you not rush through all of the content and just run to max level, which, in my opinion, Ashes of Creation is not going to be like that because it's already looking to be difficult to get through it. It's not going to be a very quick race to level 50. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily encouraging time gating. I do think that's when we see vertical level increases, though. That's the main purpose for me. I think it's just to slow you down. You can't start the real stuff because you've got to experience your levels first. I don't know. Everyone says that, Ashes is going to take a while. It's going to take a while to level. What's the? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. What's the time frame that?
I think it's calculated out to an estimated like 270 hours. Something like that.
Which is, I mean, fair. It's good. That's good compared to sort of modern day MMORPGs. But again, going back to like EverQuest, I had characters I never maxed, despite years of playing.
Yeah.
So historically, it's better than things now, but it's still a fairly fast process in the grand scheme of things. Of course, nodes, I think, is what we don't really know, right? So how nodes enter into all of our leveling processes, I think, is the unknown that hopefully makes a lot of this feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that if I understand exactly how that how Blat was describing it, because I didn't play Seasons of Discovery just because I'm tired of new repurposed versions of the same WoW.
Yeah.
So I didn't experience that 0 to 60 in 4 phases. I'm guessing it was something along the lines of like they'd give you a month to get 5 levels or something, or like a couple weeks to get 5 levels, and then they would unlock another like 10 or 15 levels for you to get in like a couple weeks or a month time frame. I'm guessing that's how it sounds like to me. I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to something like that. It would slow everybody down.
Yeah.
Which to me is I'm not sure if I really like it, to be honest. I'm not sure if I'd be totally against it, but I'm not sure I would actually enjoy that, because at that point there's no, it feels like one of those everybody gets a trophy kind of moves, like don't worry about racing up to the max level and doing things and getting places and conquering all the places and getting all the money that you can find everywhere and buying your freehold and buying your property and start running for mayor because you're doing things. But nobody will be able to do that until everybody's ready to do that, after we've unleashed the final phase and everybody's up there and ready to go.
Yeah. And that's another good point. Like, my question to you, like just the audience, is, do you want something that's time gated like that, where it slows down everybody's gameplay so that it feels like everything is the game instead of the end, like level cap is the game, end game is the game? Or do you like the freedom to do what you would like and play however you would like, get up to max level as quickly as you'd like? And one of the things that Penumbral said is a good point for that. Most certainly people will rush to max level for the main reason of freeholds being only purchasable by max level tune. So in a way, I'm already seeing, just objectively, a opposition, right? You have, take your time, enjoy our game. We're gonna make it where it takes a really long time for you to level, but also hurry up and get to level 50 if you want a freehold. Like, at the same time. And I see those two working in opposition with each other. So I'm kind of curious, how that works. And I think they did a good approach to that, a happy middle ground, if you will, where instead of things falling over easily because we're average powered, you can run through it solo. We all saw, not this last live stream, but the live stream before that, he was struggling with some of the mobs, but he was like 4 levels above them and he was struggling against one of the mobs. And or like twice the level almost. I think it was like a level 8 and he was like level 15 or 16. And so I think that is an indicator that the mobs are not going to be just pushovers.
Yeah, I think you're right. Definitely a thing. And kind of what you were talking about there for a moment is this game is going to be torture for me. I already know it. If the leveling process takes that long, because for one, we need to have a freehold. It's a pretty core feature of the game, right? Pretty core feature, especially for those of us who are trying to actually have like a tavern. So I'm going to be speed pushing through, possibly not reading any quest and whatnot for my first character, just to make sure we can get a freehold. I'm also an altoholic. So my next like 2 characters are going to be spent just reading all of the quests. No matter how long it takes me, every quest I come across, as long as I'm not literally wasting my time, I'm going to be reading it. And by wasting my time is, I mean, I'm not going to do a level 5 quest if I'm a level 20. Like I'll go back and maybe grab those after the fact. Or I'll have an alt that goes back and does those. Who knows? Time will tell. But yeah, it's going to be kind of painful leveling up some alts. But at least I'll be able to experience all the story I can possibly absorb, because it's going to take so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully the story's a little bit different each time.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of what
because
I'm looking forward to.
Progressing that whole time.
Yep, exactly.
You know, the time stuff, you know, I tend to, I guess it's how it's done. You know, if we're talking a pure leveling process, like experience points as a function of time, that's different. But if there are other limits, you know, I tend to play in chunks of time. So I certainly have played games where like you reach a point and it's like, oh, you're done for the day. There's nothing more you can do here. You can't gain any more power. And that always would drive me nuts. And that sort of time gate I hate, because that's not being respectful of a player's time, like what they actually have to play. The thing that made EverQuest work with how long it took to gain max level and then all of these AAs was that they also just had stuff to do the whole way. So you know, you could start raiding at level 30, level 40. You know, you didn't have to wait until 50, 55, 60 to start raiding. There was hard, difficult content to do the entire way. So you didn't really care so much because you had stuff to do. And again, that's hopefully where nodes fit into this process, where there's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be something to kill and some monster that you know is threatening your area. But you know, because that's really what makes a slower leveling process work, is just giving players those carrots to where they don't care, because they're still busy. They're still doing stuff. I feel you on the freehold. I only thing I've ever wanted to do was have a farm. I think our very first interview with Steven, it was like, hey, what do I do to get a farm? And like, that's the only questions I've ever asked. And then when the freehold stream came out, it was like almost soul crushing. It was like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, yeah. That's about what happened to me too. My heart just sank.
I've gotten over it, but like, oh no.
It was one of those things when they first announced the freehold system. Virtek and I were like a little dismayed because we're like, wait, what? So there's not enough places for people to have freeholds, like all the people to have freeholds. That's crazy. And then, you know, amidst all of that, though, there was a good number of people in our community who were like, well, I don't want a freehold, though. I just want end node housing. And I'm like, that's fair. So like, just like not everybody's going to go after crafting, just like not everybody's going to go after all the bosses. Not everybody's going to go after a freehold, you know?
Yeah, the expectation.
Did you guys think everyone in the game?
Yeah, the expectation, Royer, was what Steven said, because he actually used the phrase, everybody who wants to put in the effort can get a freehold. That was the expectation. if you want to put forth the effort, not if you get lucky enough and there's one available, and then you go through and have enough just pure money to spend on it, because that could be a factor of, yes, if you put in enough effort you can get one, if all the limiting factor was money, but you actually have to have one available.
Yeah.
There weren't enough there actually until they said that you can rent a room in a tavern to live. There weren't enough housing options in the game for every player to have a house. That's the other thing that also got us on there. Then they said that you can rent a room in a tavern and be a citizen of a node by renting a room in a tavern.
Yeah. Blat says, I think freeholds will be expensive enough to require several cooperating players to support it. Absolutely. I think so. I just took a statement that one time to be a misspeak. Yeah. And, is the freehold instanced? No, the freehold is not instanced. The freehold is open. Like people can go on it. I believe as long as you're in the blueprint of your freehold, you cannot get attacked, but you have to be like on your freehold. I think for that, like inside your house on your freehold. But yeah, no, it's not instanced otherwise. But I mean, that's a good point for that, is if it's instanced, then how could it get raided if the node fails, aka reset it so that the next people taking over can have a chance at getting a freehold, and thus continuing the cycle of economy within the game, which is a whole other topic in and of itself. But there's been a lot of good comparisons to Lord of the Rings Online and other games as well, Star Wars Galaxy, EQ, etc. Muscle said EQ took forever to level. And then I believe it was Baby Grim that was talking about Star Wars Galaxy Lord of the Ring Online, and being like, I don't even know, a crazy high HP doing a crazy amount of damage. And I think that's also another issue, is if you're not limited in some sort of way and you can just keep building power, eventually you're just a mad powerhouse.
ECC.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot with the different classes that you can play, but I think in general it would be interesting to see how experience gets handled over time with Ashes as it continues to evolve. Everything is not here to stay. It's up for debate and conversation and testing, obviously. But we are at 50 minutes. So I think we're here at the end of our show. One last thing related to Ashes is the dev discussion poll that came up. I don't know if you saw it, but Vaknar posted this on the forum saying, we've all been there, deep into an intense session, when suddenly the need to access our inventory or backpack pops up. Which key do you reach for? Is it I for inventory or B for backpack? And I think they're trying to figure out like which key bind people would prefer. And do you stick with the default key bindings, or do you like to customize them? I don't really have a preference for I or B. Just tell me which one it is and I'll use it. But do you have a preference? And if not, do you change your key binds to fit whatever works for you?
No, I don't really have a preference. Actually, I was going to say that everybody's just going to key bind it how they want it anyways. I think my tongue-in-cheek reaction to this on Twitter was, I forget how I worded it, like what matters. What is this B madness? Like who actually uses B? Knowing that I think World of Warcraft is the one that uses B for backpack, but
yeah,
I would go with I for inventory and let everyone else do whatever they want. I'm not a big keybind person. It's pretty rare that I switch things around. So
thank you. Cheers.
IGs, thank you, much appreciated.
Yeah, same.
Tier 1 subs.
I will say I is the winner by far. It's like 70-30 split. So 70 for I.
Yeah, I'm all about I because it's an inventory I'm opening. and it's gonna include all my inventory instead of. I mean, I know you could say it's all my bags, but B is also much closer to my hand that's gonna be on the keyboard, so I could maybe use that as a hotkey for something, and it's a lot closer than having to look down and figure out where I is. I can just kind of boop really quick. It's right there by the space bar. I can maybe even hit it with my thumb if I don't care about hitting space at the same time.
Yeah, Sir Unsington, I wanted to pull this from our Discord. Sir Unsington said the inventory pull starts with you've screwed up and forgot to manage your inventory while you're deep down in an expedition. Forget I or B, why didn't you manage your inventory before you left town? That's the real question. And then I was like, everybody knows you drop off mats in town and re-up on food and pots before going out. And then a few people were like, I would never exclude Matt like that. Why would you do that to Matt? Oh
Silly
no!
people.
Oh, okay.
Silly
I see
people.
it. Yeah. Rude, but yeah. What's with all the tab freaks? Wow, I'm a tab target person. I like it.
No, that's my point. Like the tab for to open your inventory. Well, then how are you going to play the game? You got to tap your targets.
Yeah. Well, if you're playing action, having the ability to rebind tab to bag, that would be cool.